What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Essential Scares podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I am your host, Corbin, and with me today, as always, is Alan.
Good evening.
And Bobby.
Hello, it's me, Bobby. Hello.
We have an interesting show for you today, a show perhaps filled with vindication, perhaps filled with interesting opinions. We are continuing our new method of choosing movies via connection with the cult classic Terrifier. But first, Bobby has a spoiler warning.
I do. This will serve as your first one and only spoiler warning for the movie Terrifier. If you do not want the movie Terrifier spoiled for you, please get the time code in our description or show notes for our essential spoiler-free discussion. In the lexicon of Essential Scares podcast, there is one meme that has lasted, that I am objectively correct all the time. And I said last episode that I was worried I would not like this movie because I didn't like movies like Terrifier, movies that are decidedly mean at times. And I'm sorry to announce that I'm even more correct now this movie is based, Alan.
Oh, okay, great. So Terrifier, we have, like the start of every good slasher film, drunk college girls coming home from a party, and oh no, they can't get into their car because they're too drunk. Only to then find out that there's this weird-looking clown that just kind of shows up and stares at you. We've all been there, ladies. So they go.
We all remember 2016.
We all remember this.
I was the clown
moment in time. Yeah, Bobby was the clown, and Corbin and I were drunk. So they go get a slice, and then Art the clown proceeds to get even creepier. Well, the fun doesn't stop for the patrons of this small town where he goes on a bit of a rampage and murders people in some of the most gory ways we've seen in sort of like modern slashers, which is definitely what this film is known for. All in all, this film goes balls to the wall in the ways that you want it to, and honestly has a decent, not twist, but like it pulls the rug under you in a way that's kind of fun. So let's open it from there.
So, Bobby.
Yeah.
Alan and I have both seen this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alan's seen this several times, and has been espousing the greatness of Terrifier for a while.
Yep.
And has even mentioned it on the show for a while, and you have even mentioned it in response on the show that you weren't interested in watching the movie.
Yep.
And then I went and saw it in October in the theaters, and I think I talked about it briefly on the show. So you finally, right? You've been hearing about this movie for 6 years.
Yep.
You all your friends tell you, watch the movie, great movie. And you held back so strong until we finally forced you to watch it.
Yep.
And now you come out the other side a fan. How does that make you feel about your last 6 years?
I'm fine with it, to be completely honest. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
The first thing I want to add to this movie is I've never known until this day how deeply and unsettling and terrifying my naked body is until watching Art the Clown walk up the stairs. That doesn't feel good for me.
Bobby, is it saying something about you that you see yourself in art?
This is not a connection I ever would have drawn.
Yeah.
I can't undraw it now.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my god.
I need to stress that we tell each other almost nothing ahead of time. Almost nothing. So for Bobby to just throw the grenade into the ring of, it was kind of weird seeing his dick flopping around like that. It's just hell of a start to the show.
I'm very funny. Hello, everybody. It's me, the funny guy.
Man.
Are you all now entertained now that you think of my naked body and Art the Clown in the same sentence?
I'm entertained and aroused.
Perfect. You'd be the only one, I think.
Okay, so what What else? What thoughts do you have?
Yeah, no. This movie, it's endearing, is the way I would put it. You know what I think I really like about this movie is it's a full send. It like it does not like a lot of mean-spirited movies try to be like not that. You know what I mean? Like they try to be like they try to hide the fact that they're mean-spirited, probably because the reality is like I'm thinking like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, which is like that movie is mean-spirited and there's no real point for it to be, other than somebody didn't get what the original movie was supposed to be. Right? This is just mean-spirited to the point of it being funny, and that's the point, right? You're supposed to be scared of Art the Clown and then go right back around to he's a funny clown again, which is like a really, and I think that it's a movie that is, if I'm going to give like my box back of the, it's a movie that is endearing. It is there were enough moments where I saw the editing happening where I was like, this movie is pretty poorly edited, but it's masked by like, and you know, it's a B movie with a lot of no-name actors, so it's not super well acted, but like the script that these bad actors are working with feels good. Like every one or two normal characters, a weird and like what the fuck kind of character shows up. So like you're in a world full of normal people, Art the Clown, a homeless person, and a stereotypical smart girlfriend, a smart sister. And it's like, okay, I can live with that. And so I think the part I hate most about this movie is the very, very end, which we'll get into probably I think that it kind of ruins the level of, I know why they did it. They wanted to make sure he could come back or whatever, but like, I think that Art's apparently supernatural, and that kind of takes away from it a little bit for me.
I mean, but he kind of already was a bit supernatural throughout, even before he just comes. I mean, he really goes full blown supernatural at the end. But like, dude gets stabbed in like what would effectively be his lung, like 45 minutes into the film. He gets shivved right up here. You're gonna hit a bunch of major arteries. Like, I don't know. This is definitely a film where not once did I ever go like, "Oh, that's not real." Like, I didn't give a shit about any of that because this film just. It sets the tempo and pace so early that this film is going to be a lot of nonsense, and it's the nonsense that it knows exactly what it is.
Yeah,
and I think that's like the ultimate thing I can say about this film is it knows precisely what it's doing. It
I
knows
agree with that.
Exactly the avenue that it's going down, and it takes that game plan to the movie and just executes it perfectly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that
knows what it is and owns it. Yeah.
That's a lot of. I think in general, right, good projects are ones that understand kind of, you know, not only what they are, but how they're going to get there. And Terrifier is definitely a movie that, you know, I think its sole goal really was to kind of recreate what, you know, the slasher was at the time, you know, 35 years prior. And with, you know, a new, rather than, you know, a remake or whatever, like an actual new slasher villain, which was great.
It feels
and I think
like a good B slasher for sure. Yeah,
exactly. It feels like the best of the worst of 80s slashers, and like that's exactly the vibe that you wanted.
It's like, when you think like when you think it's kind of like when you play like when you think of Tomb Raider. Perfect example here. The image you have in your head of Tomb Raider isn't really Tomb Raider. Like your brain kind of has like anti-aliasinged up like Tomb Raider to be something that looks a little more modern. So you kind of it does that. Like it's like what you think in your head. Oh, that's a B slasher film. That's Terrifier. That's kind of what it does.
When I think Tomb Raider, the first thing I think of is rhombus boobs. That's like the first thing I think of. Yeah,
fair.
I mean, of you, of course, right?
Yeah. Well, fun sidebar, by the way. When I was a kid, my dad used to play Tomb Raider on PC with me in his lap. So like we used to call it the girl game. It was like a whole thing. It was the original. We did. Because I didn't know how to say Tomb Raider. Yeah, it was. I just knew that it was a game.
You didn't know how to say Tomb Raider?
I was like 3 years old, man. I probably was like tomato or the go game, right? Like what do you want from me? Like I was a fucking baby, dog. Hi.
Bobby.
I'm gonna
Uh,
my
Oh, Christ.
my larger point that I was going to try to make is I think that the one that is most emblematic of like this I think Mike is a character that really grounds this movie in it being that type of horror movie. You know
Mhm.
he's doomed the entire time, but he's just a straight up good and kind of nice dude. Like
Mhm.
the entire movie, and even in the beginning, because like they kind of like, is he Art the Clown? It's like, of course he's not Art the Clown. Who like you like? It's almost like they're trying to trick you, and they're trying to like, and like I think that's what's really good. They give you all of these like fake twists, so
Yeah.
that you think that like, okay, fine, whatever, and then all of a sudden they do some of the real twists and turns, like, oh shit, what the fuck? Because like there were parts of this movie, like the one thing I knew about this movie, which is why I thought it was way more mean spirited, appropriately mean spirited, but not as full send, was the scene where what's her face gets sawed in half.
Dawn.
Yeah,
Dawn,
but I
yeah.
mean, like, I think that also is kind of part of its B movie aesthetic, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
a lot of that time is just like you just had one or two big kills you're putting your whole budget into, and everything else you're kind of just kind of slide through the movie as well as you can. I mean, Art even uses a gun eventually,
Yeah.
so it's like
Amazing.
like like it did not matter.
Pocket Gun was hilarious. Okay,
Dude.
I
Pocket Gun
loved
is
it. I
it's
laughed out loud the first time I saw it. Oh my! I texted Alan. I was like, I didn't think this movie was gonna be so funny when Art Sharp pulled that gun.
No, wait.
because
I would like to read my notes for a second.
Yeah.
So this is, so when she's fighting him, I'm like, this, because
Yep.
I realized that, like, I was like, what the fuck? The sawed in half scene happens like a third through the movie. What is happening? And so
Yeah.
this is too early for this scene, and she's not nearly as fucked up as she should be. This can't be good. That was how I started it. My next note is fucking in small letters and then LOL in big letters. Just like,
Yeah.
it's like, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, she's gonna do it. And then she gets shot, and you're like, okay, but surely this must be, she's got to get away somehow. Maybe Mike will show up and do something.
Yeah.
And then she shoots him a bunch more, and then it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, fuck. And then like and then he's out of ammo. And it's like, okay, so she's gonna crawl away, right? And then it goes away, and then they watch him like fumble around, and
very
like,
fun.
this is the most human Art is in this entire movie. He's so put upon by her doing well and so upset. Like, you've taken all the joy out of this for me. All I wanted to do was do a murder.
This gun.
Yeah,
I had to do it with this.
I wanted to do a bunch of murder, but you were cool and you've ruined this for me. And then he comes back, and it's like, okay, so like, is the gun not gonna work? Because she's clearly the fighter. And then she just gets shot in the fucking face like 8 times. It's like, what
Which
the
is
fuck?
also very funny.
What the fuck?
Yep.
It's amazing.
And during all of these bits with Art, it cannot be understated just how well acted Art is. He doesn't.
Yeah, he does
doesn't
a great
speak.
job.
He doesn't make a single sound in the entire film, minus like little horn he uses at the very end, which is also very funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's just the facial expressions. This man took the idea of like, when you think of that creepy clown, this is that creepy clown. Like, every aspect of it is wrapped up into this performance. It's great, and it's so like animated. It's unparalleled. Definitely my favorite scary clown in a film. Period. End of story. It's not even close.
His mimery is really, really, really good. And again, right?
Yeah.
There's a level of like, I wrote, there's a level of psychopathy that makes him decidedly human. Like, he has humanity's worst qualities, and he thinks it's funny. And I think like that's why I'm bothered by him being supernatural, because like, he drops the bit every now and again, right? When what it's Victoria is the sister. What's Victoria's sister's name?
Tara.
Tara.
Is
Mhm.
who you thought would be the final girl,
Yeah.
but
So
was
like
unceremoniously shot.
he's
Yeah.
goofing. Yeah, he's goofing with Tara like for like a big part of the early parts of this movie. But as soon as Tara's not paying attention to him, he's just like dour and upset and like angry. And then like after he finally like once he finally is like I'm killing Tara, it's not even that he's put upon. He's just like this fucking like I don't even get to enjoy this. Like I was fucking with you all night, and you were gonna be my big like you were gonna be my finale. You were gonna be I was gonna shoot from this, and then he does it, and he's just fucking just like pissed off and downtrodden about it, and that is very fun. It's fucked up, and it's one of those scenes I think is like one of the truly scary bits of this movie. It's just like the fuck that fucking sucks, but also yeah, it's sick. And then you're like, okay, so who's this final person who survived? Is it the homeless woman or is it Victoria? Right, because one of them is making it
Gotta
out.
make it, yep.
Yeah, like we know
Well,
this.
we know that, yeah, from the interview in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And apparently another one, Art the Clown, nakedly wears her breasts, like,
And her scalp.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, that is truly the most again, my gross horror body aside, that was the part where I was the most uncomfortable.
Oh, I think
When
it's
he's like walking up the stairs.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
well, it's funny too because it's so funny but that is like absolutely the most uncomfortable bit. But there's a woman who's naked and sawed in half 20 minutes before this.
Yeah.
But it's like but I agree with you fully. It's
Yeah.
not even close
That-
how much more uncomfortable it is with him
that-
just being.
Yeah, the sawed in half scene I think is, in all honesty, overrated. I would argue it's very much like they hide a lot of it, and like me having heard about this movie for 6 years, I was thinking I don't know how they're gonna do this, but they're gonna like long shot a lot of this, and they're gonna show you like I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they're gonna do it, and they don't, and it's fine. It's still a cool moment, but I was like, oh, so like it's definitely like there's no point where I'm like, ugh, I have to look away for a second. It's just like, no, I can watch all of this.
You've seen Bone Tomahawk, right?
Bone Tomahawk is a movie that definitely does that in a different way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's that I think is the most. I think that is the most hard to watch gore scene that comes to mind for me, just off the top. But it's similar to this, but definitely different.
Yeah, I mean, it's different because that's more like more visceral movie. You know, this one is just a more
schlocky gore fest.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, exactly. It's
I
just
mean,
kind of gore for its own sake, which is like, yeah, that's fine. But
which it's funny too. I mean, the first gore
it's
we see
easier
is a
to
woman
watch.
get her eyes gouged out, literally. Like it's this movie within 3 minutes goes, "This is what you're getting. You know what you're getting. You know, I know why you're here. We're gonna just do this.
Yeah.
Just keep
Don't
going."
worry, baby birds, I'll feed you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then fucking okay, so I was super upset, and then immediately like that's I think like with some of the editing, and then immediately there was another payoff of it. It's the scene where Art's killing the pizza people, and like when he chops off the hand, I'm like, that looked like shit. And then he's like running away, and no, it was vice versa, right?
I thought the hand looked good.
The head, no, the hand was shit, but like the head jack-o'-lantern, I was like, that's fucking sick. I said the mid editing of the hand is made up by the straight murder, because like, dude, when the pizza boy gets fucking stabbed in the face like 40 times, and it was like, fuck, that's good. Like, so I was fine with it. Like, and I think that's the whole thing, is this movie makes up for the mistakes that it has to do because it's on a shoestring budget and all that shit by just being like, and here you go, you sick fuck. Watch this man get stabbed in the face. You'll like it, don't you, Piggy? And I'm like, yes, I do, mistress. Yes, I do like it.
For reference, the budget of this film was at max $55,000.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I love the monumentally large range, by the way, on the budget.
Yeah, 35 to 55. How is there 20 grand missing here? What's going on here?
I think it's because they raised 35-ish
Oh, okay.
on Indiegogo or whatever. So like they know they spent that much, but then like he probably put his own money into it. And like how much was that? Like who could
Box
say?
office did all right for the budget. So
Absolutely. All right. 10x back. I mean,
yeah,
that's more
it's
than
not
all
bad.
right.
There's a reason why they made a second, and they're making a third.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, he's done other stuff too. So you know, there's absolutely. Was there anything that we've talked a lot about the good of the movie, right? I think that it's if you're into slashers and period, I think that you probably will enjoy this movie. And especially
I
if
think
you're
if you're listening to this
into
podcast, you'll enjoy this movie. To be completely honest,
probably, yeah. If you stuck with us through Ghoulies, you'll probably be into Terrifier.
They went to college. What do you want from me?
But what do you guys not like about Terrifier? Because I think that it's certainly not a perfect movie, right?
No.
Like it's a budget movie, it's a B movie that feels like a B movie, right? And it carries with it the weight of its budget and experience, right? Bobby, you've mentioned a few times.
Yeah, I don't like those things.
The editing,
yeah,
right? Which is totally true. Or like the acting can be pretty mid, honestly.
Yeah.
And like the script itself is not bad, but like the dialogue is kind of weird sometimes. Characters are really they're like kind of like classic slasher characters. A lot of them, like some of them are just there to die. Like you even you'll have character that will like come around, explain themselves, get killed, and then like replacement character comes in right after that. It's like
the other exterminator was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh wait,
just, like,
dude,
so funny,
dude.
And then gets one of the most brutal deaths of the whole movie.
He's about to leave, and the scene of him remembering there's a key under the mat made me laugh in ways I don't even understand. Like, it was so corny and bad. I was like, what the fucking shit? Like, yeah, he's gonna die immediately. Like, in the same way, like, I think I agree with you. Like, the crazy homeless woman, she didn't need to exist. She didn't even need to exist even a little bit. Like, it's fine. Like, and like, I don't think she adds anything except for the one bit where you think, oh, Art's like going with it. Like you think that for like half a second. It's like, oh, okay, so like there's gonna be a dynamic here. And nope, she's just dead. That's like, okay, whatever. And like
she is scalped with her tits removed, Bobby.
And then she dies.
And then she dies.
Yeah,
yes.
like
you're underselling her death.
Yeah. No, I think that there is there's a lot of good in this movie, but I think the good exists to hide the bad, right? Like it oscillates, right? Like but like every time it's like, oh my god, fucking whatever. They just go, but look, there's a big old payoff to this stupid bullshit, right? It's like, okay, fine, whatever, man. Like there's I know I agree with you. It's a poorly edited movie with bad acting, and there are a couple people who make you feel good, and that's it, right? There's very little to it. But at the same time, it's kind of that's all it needs to be. Like,
I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's also like, I mean, the director and writer, right? I mean, he comes from a special effects background, so it's totally the kind of movie that like an effects guy, horror guy makes, right? Like the whole movie is just built around, sliding that together, which I think is why it works, right? Like I think that a benefit of Terrifier is that he understood like his strengths and weaknesses as a filmmaker, like immediately.
Well, I mean, you can make up for a lot of these like. We're really glossing over these problems. Like this is
we are.
Do not misunderstand. This is not good per se.
No,
but what this film does, it does at such a high level within the genre that it's like it just stands above its flaws in a way that is unique. I mean, there are so many movies that are this exact. You could have almost this exact film, but half of the actual effort put into the gore, and also if you don't have this actor for art, I don't know that you have the same film either. Like, we've been shitting on the acting, but the one person who does the acting well is the most important part, and it's amazing how much that tiny little bit does make a difference.
Which, like, that also, they have that in common with other, like, classic slashers, right? Where, like, okay, the villain is done very well, and, like, everybody else is, like, wooden and flat, and they don't matter, but, like, the killer is done very well.
But yeah.
Sure, but I mean, when I think of Halloween, it's like
Friday the 13th is a good example where, like, Jason has been done well a couple of times, and the characters are bad most of the time. Like
Hellraiser, right?
Oh yeah,
you can't do Hellraiser without Doug Bradley unless it's Jamie Clayton, who also did a really good job, but that was like literally like almost 40 years later. So, there's emblematic, right? I've used this word twice today, but like there is a moment where Victoria is running away from Art the Clown she's struggling to get air after Art the Clown tries to strangle her with a plastic bag, and they show a still image of a railroad spike for, it was probably like 3 seconds, but it felt like a fucking eternity. And it's just like they're using like Windows Movie Maker to do like a still image like slideshow type thing where it's just zooming in like it would like in that type of thing. And it's just like, so like there's a lot of that type of like bad bullshit in this movie. But again, it's fun, and that's kind of like, and it knows what it is. It doesn't in the same way that, like, I would say Thanksgiving just knows what it is, right? This is like Thanksgiving, but like way better. Yeah.
Do love me some Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Nice tits,
bitch. It is not good.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched Thanksgiving 3.
The Search for Thanksgiving 2?
Yeah.
Something else I just want to shout out is at the end when Tara thinks she's gotten away, you know, and you know, Art reaches out to her,
Victoria,
and honks. Oh yes, you're right, Victoria, and honks the little horn. Very funny, and then drives through with this massive truck, and he's listening to this weird jazz music. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's just like, yeah, of course Art likes weird jazz music. Of course he does.
He's into prog rock, yeah.
Yeah. Just it's such a small little thing, but it's like, yeah, that's correct here. You know, it just fits.
Oh, no, and that's actually another part of this movie that was like, shut the fuck up. Why would you do that? There's a bunch of shit. That's another thing, right? It's 2018. And a college-age woman is listening to the radio. No, she's not. It's 2018. They're drunk, right? And they're cold. They don't just order an Uber from the pizza place. Of course they fucking do. Like, it's 2018. Horror movies have existed. You don't go back into the warehouse where you last saw the evil clown that's trying to kill you. You run the fuck away. Like, forever. You run until you can't stop running. Right? Like, until you can't stop. Like, you can't go anymore. You don't go back into the warehouse. Like, those parts are like very clearly in my own head, like, fuck you type of thing. But go ahead, Fred.
It's interesting that you bring these things up, right? Usually this is Alan's job, so I'm a little weirded out that you would bring these
I actually have a rebuttal to this, too.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say, first of all, I may be misremembering, but I do remember that phones were not properly charged at the start of the movie.
Her phone wasn't properly charged, but Dawn's was. Dawn's was charged all the way. Yeah, the drunk girl.
Well, that doesn't mean that she gets to put music on, right?
No. Victoria, who also had a fully charged phone, was listening to the radio.
I listen to the radio sometimes. Like, you don't listen to the radio ever?
Serious satellite radio, man.
I don't pay for that shit.
And neither do I.
I don't have a car that can do that shit.
I think that between the fact that maybe her car doesn't have an aux for a phone, and also the fact that people listen to the radio. Okay, we were in college, not long before that, and like I definitely listened to the radio like all the time.
You listen to AM radio?
If that was what I wanted, yeah. But yeah, shit. Yeah, it's just the radio.
I find that to be.
This is just a very strange. I think
Incredibly
that this
silly.
is a strange point to pick up on, and also the Uber thing. I mean, what if they just don't?
They're a small town. They don't have Ubers.
Yeah. Not every town is just Ubers everywhere.
That's
at late at night.
No,
3 a.m.
Yeah, no, they exist.
$25 Uber.
Yeah,
who has that kind of money? Yeah.
If you're cognizant enough to know that you're too drunk to drive, you're cognizant enough to go, I'll pay $30 for an Uber.
But she just needed pizza, and then she would be good to go.
Yeah, you just had to sober up, and then she'd drive. Then you'd save. You spent the $5
If you needed
spent
a
on pizza,
single piece of pizza and a 5-minute walk, you are good to drive to begin with. Like,
that's pretty bold of you.
I don't know.
A single piece of pizza in 20 minutes?
Yeah, you walk outside in the crisp air for a little bit, you slam a slice, and then it's like, okay, let's just get home.
Get some water. You got it. You can rally.
No. And on top
of that,
I am not going to be gaslit right now. My points are valid, and
I think you're just wrong.
And well intended.
Well intended, is that so?
Yeah.
It doesn't make them correct.
Okay, so I will say though, at the same bit, right? The next technology ex machina that happens, right? Because her listening to the radio and realizing, oh god, there's a serial killer on the loose. Both times, like, okay, fucking whatever, man. Like, okay.
I mean, that's you're just delivering information for the film. I mean, she could have easily gotten a notification on her phone, like serial killer nearby. Like you get that notification today if you had
that would have been better and more intelligent. You're right. That would have been a better way to do that. You're totally right.
But so much more expensive. I mean, this movie was filmed on a nothing budget. Like it cost $2 to put a little serial killer on the loose over the.
But I will say. At the same time, right, the ex machina that happens right afterwards, where Tara tries to call for Mike, and Mike's listening to his new metal very loudly. That
with headphones.
Yeah, that worked. I like that. That he had earbuds in. Like we've all been in that situation where you just don't hear. You're not familiar. I was in that situation. I was on the other end of that situation. Literally 5 minutes before we got on the call tonight. Right, I opened up the door. My wife was hanging out in a room next door, and she was just like vibing to music, and I was just sitting there looking like Garth Decambe, like waiting for her to like look at me, and she's like, Jesus Christ. And so like, yeah, no, we sometimes are not as familiar with the surroundings. That I liked. That I felt worked. That was earned. There's parts of this movie that you asked me to tell you what I didn't like about this movie, and I'm sorry, I have to tell you the truth.
I mean, these are things that you could dislike about a movie, like about any movie. You know, I mean, this is. I don't know. I think that the radio thing, especially, that's just like really funny to me.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
I think that there is. I think that it is a part of the movie that's like, okay, this is actually kind of fucking like. It doesn't necessarily detract you from it, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. I really do. I feel like it's just like there's a bunch of parts of this movie that like you said, this is like, okay, sure, right, but it's not like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's like, why there's a lot of that in this movie, I feel.
Do you know why I didn't care about any of those?
Why is that?
This is an ode to 80s slasher films. So if you have all of these modern technologies and modern ways out of things, you have to have modern ways to deal with them in your modern horror film. This isn't that. This, to me...
I didn't know that until the end of the movie, Ellen.
Sorry. But, like, that to me is, it's like, well, this is clearly... it's the current day, but, like, it's not. And I think that's kind of the conceit that I have.
No, they're currently living in Trump's America, and you need to accept that.
But no, like all that stuff I didn't care about because I'm like, yeah, no, this is an 80s slasher film made in 2018. Like you there are things that you have to just go, whatever. If we're trying to do those classic bits, you're going to have those types of things that now you go, well, that's stupid. Of course that wouldn't work. Like, I mean, even the guy's fucking earbuds, for example, should have been wireless.
Not in
AirPods have been out
2018. Not in 2018.
AirPods have been out for
Not
2
in
years. They
2018.
took over the world, buddy. You are misremembering
On
how
a
long.
janitor's salary?
100%, dude. You
On
get those bad boys for
I
$100.
guess he was
Come on.
an exterminator. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah,
No, that's fair.
absolutely.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Point and counterpoint. I'll take that. Yeah. But also, do you guys think that Art the Clown voted for Chris Christie in the Republican primaries in 2016? Or was he a Ted Cruz guy? He's definitely a Republican, right? He's got to be, right?
I don't think Art votes.
No?
He's too busy trying to think about killing people.
Yeah, which is why he votes Republican. Hey-o, let's go. Political humor.
Oh, Bobby.
I want to read you one last note that I wrote here.
Okay. Yes.
So when they go to the coroner, and he's like, once you see a baby microwaved, it's all just old hat. I wrote this note right afterwards. I vibe with the coroner in a way that is ... probably something I should talk to my therapist about. I was like, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah.
How'd that go for you?
Well, it hasn't happened yet. We'll find out when I talk to my therapist next.
We'll be following up with Bobby post therapy in 2 weeks.
So yeah. But speaking of Bobby's both work and personal life trauma, you guys ready to rate this bad boy?
Oh, I'm ready to rate this.
I think so.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Oh, thank you guys so much for asking. See, we rate this on a scale of 0 to 5 with half points allowed. So a movie that might be a 2.5 or a 3.5 or even a 3 or a 2, totally valid. But like a 2.7, a 2.25, no, absolutely not.
No.
What are you thinking about? No.
Not. What about like what about like a 2.15?
Have I just not been listening to a single word I just goddamn said? I said half points are allowed.
Not for the last like
hour
or so.
For that, you go first.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. Okay. So, Terrifier. I wasn't sure how much I was gonna like it the second time, honestly. I liked it the first time, but there was quite a bit of that, like, is this movie actually good element to it that I think really it stuck with me a little bit more the first time. And I wasn't sure how much I was actually looking forward to the second time, even though I chose it. And I just watched it a couple months ago, which is pretty recent for me. So when I pulled it up, I ended up liking it even more than the first time. And I think it's because after that first time, it did kind of click with me even that much more. Like Alan was mentioning in the show, like kind of the intention of the movie and the style of the movie. Once you know how it's going to go and what art really is, which, if I had watched Terrifier when it came out and I was a fan of it, I probably would have known that going in, because there were 2 other short films and a movie before this, which I have yet to watch.
Yeah.
So I guess probably the average person, probably knew who Art the Clown was, right? Knew like the shtick. But I liked it a lot more this time. Though I think the flaws do stick out. It's certainly not a perfect movie, but I think that it's eminently enjoyable. And I mentioned it earlier, but it's kind of like the best of the worst. It's not a good movie, but it's very good at being a bad movie. And I really appreciated that. And so for that, I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5.
God damn it. I'll go next. Same, just to get it out of the way. I had it in my head. I'm like, please don't give it a 3.5. Please. It sounded like you're going to give it a 4. Thank God. Yeah, no. This movie is really weird because you said it, Corbin, it's not good, but it is probably one of the most endearing horror movies I've watched in a long time. Every time it does something that makes you go, either apparently, because I had a bunch of apparently Alan moments this movie, it made me go, okay, what the fuck, whatever, man. But it's followed directly by, I'm like, oh, cool. Like,
Mhm.
so like it's not good, but it is great, right? Like,
Right. Yeah, that's a great way of
yeah,
putting it.
like so. Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. I did not think I would enjoy this movie, but goddamn, did I!
I know. If you'd asked me a week ago or 2 weeks ago what Bobby would give this, I was thinking like 1.5 maybe.
Yeah. No, man,
Oh, yeah.
this movie is not a Bobby 1.5 because it's good on its own merits. Like that, like it's legit. Like it's not, like I said, it's not a good movie, but the things that it does very, very well. Yeah,
Nice.
it's a min
I'm
max.
just under you guys at a 3 out of 5.
Oh,
This is actually very surprising to me.
yeah, I'm shocked. I'm frankly shocked.
I know. I had to
thought-
just get it out immediately.
all the way up until I'm just a little. I was thinking he was gonna say over.
It's a 4.
The
Yeah,
fourth
give it
one.
a 4. Yeah.
So, what I found with my repeat viewings is I would not say I was bored, but the moments that we've talked about of the poor editing, of the awkward, stilted pieces of this film hurt a bit more for me on more rewatches than the initial time. Because the initial time I watched this, it's just like, this is insanity. It's almost sensory overload in a way, because it's just like, what is going on and why? This with a bit more time to kind of digest and watch and kind of know the process, I'm more like, I'm excited for the bits that I want to see, but I really am like, I don't really know that I want to watch Tara and Dawn have a whole ass conversation for like 10 minutes in the beginning of the film and then kind of like awkwardly stumble around a bit. It's just, those stilted bits hurt a little bit more for me on more watches. I still love watching this film. I'm absolutely going to watch this film again because it's a ton of fun. But it's just slightly under at a 3 for me.
You know what? Right before we move on, this just hit me as a final note. You know what Terrifier reminds me of? And I couldn't quite place it up until Alan was discussing it. It has a similar vibe to Blood Diner. Like it's
Yeah, I can see that.
it's mean, but it's mean in a way that's almost ironic. Like it's goofy. It's also just incredibly fucked up and nonsensical. And
You did give Blood Diner 3.5, by the way.
I am a very consistent guy. I didn't even know that. I was taking a shot in the dark, but yeah, fuck yeah, let's go, baby. I gave it a 5 on the rewatch because it deserves it, and maybe Terrifier will deserve it again. Anyway, that's not all we do on this horror movie podcast. We also decide whether or not the movie Terrifier is essential to horror as a whole.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if you
News to
gentlemen
me.
know this, but this part of our podcast that we've been doing for well over 100 episodes is spoiler free. And which
Awkward.
means you will not hear a single spoiler out of us most of the time. Sometimes I mess up. It's happened before. Anyway, I think going in, we're going to go oops, uno, reverso order.
Oh,
Alan,
no.
is this movie essential, yes or no?
Yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat. To me, it absolutely is. I think that this film gives us a new horror villain, which by itself is kind of a big deal. Because when you think of Art the Clown is not just, oh, it's Art. Like, the fact that he has a name and you could say it to anyone, maybe not anyone per se, but like, it's a big enough known entity in the community. I think, to me, it's absolutely yes. I think he's unique in his own way. It's unique while being entirely derivative, which is fascinating as a concept, by the way. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to expunge on. To me, it was one of the easier yeses I've had in a while, where I'm like, absolutely, Terrifier is. I think it's required viewing.
I guess that's me now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Alan mentioned it's derivative, right? But in the same way that like Homelander from The Boys is derivative of like the goodest boy, but also the dark face of the goodest boy, right? Art the Clown is, I think, the first slasher like supervillain since maybe Jigsaw, since Billy the Puppet, right? And like before then we only had, Ghostface, and then we had the big three. We all know the big three, right? Freddy Krueger,
Chucky,
Chucky,
Hellraiser,
and Pinhead. Yeah, exactly.
I was waiting for Pinhead. I knew it was coming.
Such a waste of good suffering. No, but yeah, I think of course this movie is
Background
essential.
child from Children of the Corn.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Malachi from Children of the Corn as well.
right.
No, yeah, I think obviously this movie is essential. I think it would be very, very short-sighted of all of us to say that it wasn't. Not to probably spoil it for Corbin, but I would have a hard time believing he wouldn't say yes to this. It's just like it. I knew about this movie and was dreading watching it, only to find out that this movie kind of owns bones. And I think that I think that this is probably the first time that most people were introduced to Art the Clown in any real way. I also think that if I remember correctly, this is also the first time this actor is playing Art the Clown, and everybody says this is the best version, right?
Yes.
And so like there it is, right? This is where he becomes solidified as who he is, and all of that. It just does. There's really nothing else to add. Like, is this movie perfect? No, I gave it a 3.5. So did Corbin, and Alan gave it a 3. So there's obviously big flaws in this movie, but is it iconic? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to add a lot to that. I think. Every 8 to 10 years probably you get a new horror icon that like actually sticks around. I would like since the turn of the millennium. I mean, we've had the girl from The Ring, and then you mentioned it, Billy the Puppet from Saw, Sam from Trick or Treat, and then probably Art the Clown, right?
But
and there's a lot of other guys that like what.
I would even say that Sam isn't even in that caliber.
I absolutely I would.
Okay.
I mean, you could buy Sam decorations at Spirit Halloween.
No, I agree with that element of it. That like horror fans know who Sam is, but I think that Art actually is a step up.
I don't know, because I think it's tough. I think it's hard to say, because I think that Art has that. He's definitely building an iconic look. Maybe now since Terrifier 2, because Terrifier 2 I think really lit up socials in a different way.
Yeah, it did.
And it took like Trick or Treat. It took them a long time to get into the mainstream. Like I think they are now. I think that Sam as a mainstream horror like character is mainstream. But that movie came out in like 2008 or whatever it took, and it probably took 10 years to get there, right? So it certainly didn't take as long for Art the Clown, right? Which is huge, I mean, that says a lot. And is Terrifier, if the villain wasn't good, would it be a yes? No, it wouldn't be. It would be a no. It would be an easy no, actually. But the villain is that good, and he is that character, right? And we're coming up on Terrifier 3 this year, and who knows how many more there will be or how long that they'll keep this going. But I think that we are well on the way to this being an iconic horror franchise, and Terrifier is really where it starts. So it's a yes.
Wow, look at that! A truly essential movie.
I know, it's been a long time.
I know
it's since
you've got it up. Yeah, when was the last time? Since the Babadook.
Yeah.
What episode was that?
108.
What number are we on now?
Okay,
113.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. It's like 6 episodes. Wow.
It's been a little bit. Yeah. Because I said no to the Wicker Man, otherwise it would have been the Wicker Man.
Which is insane.
Yeah, what's up with that?
That's insane, dude.
I forgot about that for good reason. You reminded
me won't bring back your goddamn apples.
And they didn't.
Oh,
we don't know.
Well, yeah. The credits roll. I mean, maybe they did come back.
Oh my god! What if they did come back?
What if he's right, dude? What if we need to put you in a wicker basket and sacrifice you to our pagan gods, Alan?
There's only one way to find out.
All right.
I'm
And
build-
you won't
I'm
be
here.
here to see the answer.
I'm building the Wicker Man as we speak.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Well, speaking of building a wicker man, watching horror movies isn't the only thing that we do here. We also are pseudo active on social media, and we do other things with our lives. Gentlemen, why don't you tell us where can we find you and what have you been up to?
You can find me at twitch.tv/theredweenie, where I do not do stuff, but my relevant socials are there, where I do not post on. What have I been up to? Just being real. What have I been up to? Living my life. You guys may or may not be able to see this in the video version, but my basement is still a mess. We are still doing the floors and all that good stuff in my house, so that's taken up a lot of my time. I also have been playing a decent amount of World of Warcraft Season of Discovery. Probably something I could and maybe even should stream to get back into the social element of it. I recently partook in a fun little tournament for Warhammer where I played Chaos Space Marines. I played Iron Warriors. I came in 5th place out of 6 players. I did not do well. That's just the truth of it.
It just, I don't know why it just sounds funny when you say it, though.
Yeah, granted, I think I'm the only person who took let's have a meme list, like play for fun, seriously. Everybody else came with like hyper competitive lists, and I came with like a Spartan and like 2 heroes and then a Terminator blob and a blob of legionaries, and like I either destroyed the fuck out of people with my big tank or died immediately. There was no in between. So that was fun. Besides the first round, which really was disheartening. Yeah. So yeah, I follow me on my socials, and you won't be disappointed because you won't even notice you followed me.
You got nothing to lose. Just press the button.
You can find me at a seal punter just about anywhere. I haven't been doing a whole lot. Been hobbying. I've got my Dark Angels that I need to build up. Trying to play through Dead Space. Came out a year ago. Bought it immediately. Played through chapters 1 through 3 and haven't touched it until like yesterday. It's great. I mean, if you, I don't know who needs to hear if for a game that's been out for 12 years or some shit at this point.
When we were still doing video
Playing Dead
games,
Space? Actually, no.
we were gonna review this. We were gonna review it.
Good. But yeah, no, it's phenomenal. It's everything you need in a survival horror game. It's so good. But yeah, went out to dinner this past Saturday and surprised my wife. I conspired with one of her friends.
Wow, simp energy.
Oh, 100%. I simp for my wife 100%
Take the red pill.
of the time. Oh my god. But yeah, they came up from Louisville, and we were sitting in this bar called Almost Famous, and it's just a nice little cocktail bar.
Like from the movie?
What was that? I didn't
Like
hear you.
from the movie.
Oh, I don't even understand that reference.
I don't either. Explain. No, wait. Pause. We have to pause.
Now I do want to.
Yeah.
Corbin, explain this movie.
It has nothing to do with the bar. There's a movie called Almost Famous. That was the whole joke.
Oh, okay.
You proud of that joke?
I was.
Okay.
I still am. Yeah, I like it. I like the joke.
Touche. Yeah.
But we're just sitting there vibing. Had a fantastic old fashioned there. Had Applejack for the first time, by the way. Never had it before.
The fuck is
Delicious.
Really?
Applejack?
It's a liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an apple liqueur. It's very good.
You have almost definitely had it in a cocktail.
Probably. But the base spirit of this was the Applejack. It was very, very tasty. But so we're just sitting there, and I see out of the corner of my eye the two of them walk into the bar, and Maggie hasn't seen them yet. And she looks and goes, "That looks like Tim." And then like I see her like
Shout out to
live
Tim.
processing. Oh, that's Tim and Whitney. So then we
Shout
hung
out
out
to
for a
Tim
little bit.
and Whitney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hung out there, had another drink, and then we went over to this place called Livery, which is like a Latin American spot. Phenomenal. Had some great carnitas, had some empanadas. It was real good. Plantains. Oh my god. Plantains
Both
are
these
so
places
good.
now legally have to pay us.
I would
Yeah,
love to
we just
Um,
advertised for that.
I would advertise for these people in a heartbeat, man. It was very good. But yeah, it was a fantastic little weekend. So yeah. Oh, a Seal Punter. I don't post things, so same like Bobby. I'm not gonna annoy you.
You can follow me at Corbangerang or at Bolters and Bourbon. Unlike them, I do post sometimes at Bolters and Bourbon. And that the latter, that one is my wargaming socials, which is why I post more often there. So you'll see me post pictures sometimes of things that I'm working on. But more likely, if I'm going to come up in your feed, it's just me commenting on other people's things. Because other people's things are much prettier than my things.
No.
What have I been up to lately? We are right now 2 months away, I think, to the day, to Adepticon, which is the big wargaming convention
be
right here in
insane.
Chicago. Yeah, so it's actually it's actually 1 day less than 2 months, because the 21st is the day of the event for you at least.
Are there?
I'm 2 months away.
Are there still general admin tickets?
General
It's
admin's
free. It's free to just go.
Oh, then I'm just
yeah.
gonna, yeah. I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything. I'll just go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
a
if you just want
coward.
to like
Corbin and I
walk
are
around
doing
and do stuff, yeah, it's free.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. It's just not gonna happen.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I didn't do anything my first year. I just went. So
I'll come watch you guys and cheer you guys on.
There you go.
And blow you guys kisses. I love you.
I'll need it.
So I finally just 2 days ago wrote my list for a Horus Heresy event that I'm doing, and so I now need to build and paint the whole list, because I haven't painted any of it, and I just built the first character of it the other day. So we'll get that done in the
And
next
it's
2 months.
Adepticon, so there's hobby
Oh,
scores
you're
too.
doing.
So
Yep.
any additional bits you can do to make it more your own is literally points on the table.
I will be converting. All of the infantry will be converted in some way, so that'll be big.
That thing you posted, that was the thing that you built. Okay, I don't know if you want that to be public or private, because
Yeah,
other 30K players might be trying to snipe you on stream.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was So I'm playing Thousand Suns at Adepticon, and that it was a librarian. I'm doing Zone Mortalis, which is kind of like a combat patrol boarding actions for those of you that play 40K. And you can only bring 1 HQ, so that's my 1 HQ is that guy.
Fun.
And then I'm also going to be playing Age of Sigmar the day after that, when I'll be playing Disciples of Tzeentch, which is an army that I also haven't finished painting. So I will be working on those 2 armies the next 2 months.
You're just going full in on Tzeentch,
my
boys,
life,
huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, what else is there but change?
Sex, violence, and puking.
You can follow the podcast anywhere at Essential Scares. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, and I mean, who knows where else? I don't know, but there may be other places. If you follow
Through
us, you will
social.
If you follow us, you'll occasionally receive updates as to when our next episodes go live. But honestly, the best way to find out about a next episode is by listening to an old episode. So if you follow the breadcrumb trail along of the episodes, you'll always know what the next episode is. Which, speaking of, the next episode is Alan's pick, and we are continuing on with our selection by connection. And Alan has chosen 2017's top-rated film, amazing cult classic movie that everybody knows about, Demon Hole. This is a movie.
No, it's Demon Souls.
Are you chewing gum right now?
Yeah.
No, I kept trying to say I kept trying to say whole, and they kept telling me it needs to be, and I kept saying soul.
This movie is starring Samantha Scafidi, who was in this movie as
Victoria.
Who did she play?
Victoria.
Vicky. Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. Where we will go from there, only Bobby knows. So try and watch 2017's Demon Hole. It is available on Tubi for free. So that's our next movie.
And if you don't watch it, please wish us luck.
Yeah. We'll tell you all about it. Thank you to everybody for watching and for listening. We really appreciate the support. If you like the show, give us a rating, a thumbs up, a review, share it with your friends and family. Thank you to Alan and to Bobby for being on the show with me this week. I have been your host, Corbin, and this has been Essential Scares.
Play that break.